Is it possible to build and launch a startup in 24 hours using AI? Loveable is a vibe coding platform that lets you develop entire pieces of software, no code, with just natural language prompts. And it just dropped a game-changing update which makes me want to put this to the test. The first time, you can choose which AI model builds your website. So I thought, why not find out which one's actually the best? I'm going to put the top 3 AI models in a head-to-head showdown to find out who builds better software, and I've given myself a challenge. I've got 24 hours to turn one startup idea into a real product using Loveable and its best AI models. But here's the twist. Each AI gets the exact same prompt, and I'll rank what it produced based on how well it's designed, how long it took me to build, and the functionality. Then I'll pick a winner and use that AI to actually launch the startup by the end of the day. This means building the login flow, connecting to a backend with Supabase, and adding payments with Stripe. And the craziest part, I'm doing all of that without writing a single line of code, because Loveable is fully no code. So let's see which AI is going to take the crown. So Loveable has released the AI Showdown. Now we can use OpenAI, Anthropic, and Gemini to build our websites. And we can see already in one day, millions of prompts have gone out, thousands of projects have been created. And we're going to test every single one of these and see which one's the best. So the first thing you want to do is you want to choose an idea. So what I did is I went into ChatGPT and I said, based on everything you know about me, what would be a great startup idea I could build for myself? I wanted it to give me a few ideas, just to get the ball rolling and give us an idea to create this startup on. And if it's a problem that works for me, it's likely going to work for someone else. So let's see what it gives me. An AI-driven micro habit coach, a meal planner, personal finance on autopilot, a focus zone digital detox companion, a personal knowledge hub. So any one of these ideas I can take and build this out. I did this earlier, and what I got was a habit tracker. And I had the idea of, what if we gamified this habit tracker? What if by completing habits, I could create some type of digital garden? So as a way of gamifying the process of completing my habits and doing what I want. So that's the idea I actually chose. Next is you want to create the prompt. So I want to make this as simple and easy as possible for people to create their prompts and get their projects up and running. So I'm using this GPT called Loveable Prompt Assistant, and it just helps you very easily create a prompt for Loveable. And what I tend to do is I go into the chat and then I just speak at ChatGPT. So I'll do this. I want to build a digital product, and I want this product to be a habit tracking app. I want to have core functionality like being able to add habits, delete and edit them. And I want this to be a gamified experience so that when I complete my habits, I'm able to build out a digital garden. So perhaps I can have one plant. It could start off as like a seed. And then as I complete my habits, I get experience. And this can then turn into a small tree, a bigger tree. And it's just a gamified experience of growing my garden. I want like a calendar view as well to see the previous habits I had. I think through any other core functionality I would need on my habit tracking app. I want this to be beautifully designed. I want it to have a green and brown palette to match the garden vibe. And I want lots of animation. I really want to make the website have a lot of movement and make it just quite dynamic. So this is what I do a lot. I literally just speak at ChatGPT, and it's very good at taking this type of content and then structuring it and making really good prompts. And it's just a very quick way to get up and running. So now we can see we're getting a very well structured prompt broken down. So here we're building a habit tracking web application. We've got the tasks, the key functions, and we have some guidelines. And if you want, you can just add to it. So again, I can prompt it again. I want the website to look super modern and use excellent UX and UI. Also, accessibility is really important. I want to make sure all the font is very legible, so be very careful with use of colors and font colors. So everything is very legible. So here I'm just adding a bit of extra and making it so that I'm getting the perfect prompt. And there we go, we have our prompt. So we can just copy this. And then what you want to do is go into Loveable. So this is Loveable, our vibe coding platform. What we're going to do is we're going to bring in our prompt in here, and you can see we can select the different model we want to use. So we have OpenAI, Google, and Anthropic. And then Loveable is just what we previously had, which was just using Claude. So for this one, I'm going to start off and let's go with Google. And then you can send it off and it's going to go and it's going to start building the website for you. So as this works, we can look at it in a second, but I've already gone and I've built this out for Google, Claude, and OpenAI. So we can just skip straight to the result. So first up, we have Google. And this one developed a very beautiful website. So you can see here we have our digital garden, we have our seed sprout here. So if you look down, we have our tree evolution. You start as a seed, then it grows into a sapling, and then a young tree and a mature tree. We have this beautiful animation here, very simple but quite modern looking. And in terms of how it works, so we have our habits here. We can tick them off. And as you tick them off, you can get experience. And then you can add new habits. So here I can maybe say meditation, and I want to meditate daily. So now I've added this as another habit. So overall, I think this is like a very nice and clean website. It looks very modern, and I really felt like it hit this gamified angle on the head. So if we go to the rankings for this, in terms of Gemini and how it performed, I would say I give Gemini for this one, design, 5 out of 5. I think it did an excellent job making it look very modern, very gamified, and it looks like an app I would want to use. The next thing I ranked it on was time. And this is how long did it take me to build out. And if we go back into here, you can go into history and you can see here how many prompts I used. So we started off actually looking like this. And then through a few prompts, as I kind of fixed any errors it had, changed the functionality bit to do what I wanted, we got to the final result. So in terms of the time it took to get me to the final result that I wanted, I gave it a 4 out of 5. And then finally, for functionality, it did everything I wanted it to, hit all the requirements for that 5 out of 5. So in total, Gemini, I give it 4.7 out of 5. It did a really good job building out my habit tracking garden app for me. So next, we can look at Anthropic. So this is what we got for Anthropic Claude. You can see it went for a very different visual style here. A lot more modern, I would say, in terms of like what you expect the app to look like. So light background, you have the growth stages, animated field here, you have your calendar history. And then what I like here, it's very clean. It kind of gives me a Notion type look with the daily, the XP, the days. And then if I hit my morning meditation and I check in, I get my XP. You can add habits here. So overall, very clean and modern looking, which I quite like. So this was the final result for Anthropic Claude. In terms of the rating I would give this, I would give it a 4 out of 5 for design. I think it's quite sleek and clean, but in terms of Google, I think I would just give it the edge just because it looked like a bit more gamified, and I just visually was easier on the eyes if I compare this kind of style to what we got from Claude. I just felt like this was like, it was good. I think accessibility and design wise is quite good, but just felt a bit more boring. So 4 out of 5 for there. In terms of time, it did not take me many prompts to get to this at all. So I'd give this 5 out of 5. We're missing a star here. And functionality, again, it does everything I wanted it to, so 5 out of 5. So this actually ties with Google. And the final one we have now is ChatGPT. So for this one, it did not do so well, unfortunately. So I would just say first off, I don't quite like the visual design it went with. Like it tried to add a bit more animation in the background, which could look cool, but I just think overall didn't really nail the design look. I think it looks very weird to me, and I don't like the use of colors and gradients. And yeah, the use of animation is not the best here either. But in terms of functionality, it does what we need it to do. So drink water, I can check in. You can add habits. I can add meditation. So it works. I just don't think it looks the best. And again, it took me quite a few prompts to get to this, even though it's not really the result I wanted. So for OpenAI, I would have to give the design 3 out of 5. Time-wise, 2 out of 5, because it just took me a while to get here. If I can show you, it's like tons of prompts to get all the way to this result. And this wasn't even what I really wanted in the end. And then functionality, I would still give it 5 out of 5. Like it does what I need it to do. I just don't think it looks the way I want it to look. So overall, 3.3 out of 5 for ChatGPT. For the final rankings, for Gemini, we've got 4.7 out of 5. For Claude, we've got 4.7, so tied first place, and then ChatGPT comes last. One caveat to this is just one experiment, and there's so much variance in these models. I can't definitively say always use Gemini, always use Claude. I reckon each of these are going to perform better or worse depending on the type of website you're trying to build. So take this with a grain of salt, but this is a good benchmark to kind of start leading you in terms of how you optimize which model you use. And I think there's going to be a good feature with Loveable comes out where you can use Claude to build it. Then as you're building it, you can change the model you're using. So if we go here, as I'm building out, I can use Anthropic or OpenAI or Google. So you can change the model you're using depending on what your task is. So that's going to be really good. But in terms of which app I'm going to use to build the startup, I just like the one Gemini built the most. I think it looks super cool. I love the way it did it. And I'm going to try to build this into a full-blown startup. So that means adding in a landing page, logged in journey, back-end support, and Stripe payments. So let me see how quickly I can do that. With a bit more prompting, I was able to connect a back-end using Supabase. So we have somewhere to store the information. I was able to create a login flow. So now we're able to log in with users. And then I was able to integrate a Stripe digital product so we can collect payment. And all of that together allowed us to have our completed product. Now we have the finished product. So we have our beautiful landing page here. It's got the interaction. It's got some features. And then we can have our prompt here, the call to action for someone to subscribe. So if we do start growing now, we have a logged in journey. So we can get users that log into our app. We have a sign up button here. So I'm just going to sign up with a random email. Let's call it test 5. Put these details in. Then once I do this, I'm going to be able to use Stripe to actually pay for this. So now if I just put in some details, put in whatever credentials here, and then we're able to actually take payment for our app. This is just using a test account. Pay and subscribe. Now someone can actually pay to access your app. And this is going to take us to the page. And there we go. Now we have access to our app, add our habits. We can do our history and we have our tree evolution. So everything here is basically just like a full-grown startup. And that was done in one day, which is crazy. So if you haven't checked Loveable out, I would highly recommend it. Now you can experiment with lots of different AI models. I really liked Anthropic and Google, but definitely test them all out and try to find out for yourself which one you like the most. And yeah, let me know what you build. Catch you next time.